What is the role of religion in our ever-changing world? From the News Channel 5 Network, this is Issues of Faith.
Hello everyone, welcome to Issues of Faith. I'm Ben Hall. Very good show today. We are talking again about the Catholic Church. We are very happy to have with us Bishop David Choby of the Diocese of Nashville. Bishop Choby, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
So, in March, the Pope issued an apostolic exhortation.
Yes.
I want to make sure I get that right. This is an important document.
Yes.
What is your understanding of what the Pope was saying in this very important document?
Okay. Well, first of all, it's the result or the fruit, if you will, of a synod of bishops held last October. So his response to that synod of bishops is contained in this writing of this exhortation. And basically it's addressed to everyone in the Catholic Church and reflects the content, really, of the discussion and the study that the bishops undertook with regard to, in this year, the topic of marriage and the family. That was the center of their discussion and what they were interested in addressing.
Is there a dramatic change in church policy that's laid out in this?
No, not really. I think that people are given the impression, depending upon what their source of information might be, they're given the impression that the document reflects some kind of a significant change in the Church's position on the nature of marriage, but in reality that's not the case. What the document is attempting to do is to raise the question of how might the Church more effectively help individuals with regard to entering into stable, lifelong marriages, how the Church might help when it comes to issues such as children, the elderly. So the topic itself is quite broad, and there are many dimensions to that area, which serves as a concern, for the Church. But in terms of the teaching of the nature of marriage, there's nothing in the document that would seem to indicate in any way a divergence of direction or position.
One of the areas that's gotten a lot of attention is divorce. If a couple wants to get a divorce within the Catholic Church, there's some who think this document would reflect some change in what the Church has been talking about. So let's say a couple wants to get a divorce. How does this change things, if at all, in your opinion?
Well, historically, I think it would be important to understand that the Church has always understood the possibility that an individual who in a particular marriage would be endangered physically, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, that individual could separate himself or herself from the marital union. And that understanding is reflected even back in the Code of Canon Law from 1918. I think that the people who find themselves in a position of trying to resolve for themselves, the impact of divorce in their life. There's so many facets, to that. There's that personal sense of disillusionment and disappointment and the pain that comes, when one is left to go on in life alone. There's that kind of an issue. There's the issue that relates to the children, providing for them, their security, their needs. And another dimension is the question of their relationship with the Church. Divorce, in and of itself, does not change a person's relationship with the Church. As I mentioned, there can be circumstances where, for the safety and the welfare of an individual, that they may have to leave a given marital situation. But it's not necessarily leaving a marriage that creates a problem. It's a question of, am I free to enter into a subsequent union after a marriage that I've been in for X number of years finds itself on the rocks? And I think that one thing that's a part of Pope Francis's writing with regard to this document translated into English called The Joy of Love is, his concern, the Church's concern, his efforts to motivate, to help those who have official positions in the Church to understand what it is that people go through and to offer to them in whatever way is possible, according to Church beliefs, teachings, and discipline, a response to their situation.
So would an annulment be required if someone wanted to get married after a divorce? Does this change the whole process of an annulment in any way?
No, not really. I think it's important to understand that, and you see it reflected in civil society, that the relationship between a husband and a wife and the consequence of bringing children into the world and the effect of forming a family has deep social implications. So that it used to be, for a period of time, back in the, let's say between the year 800 and 1200, 800 and 1500, that normally speaking, individuals went to the church in order to obtain legal verification of their relationship as husband and wife, because there's all kinds of issues that go with that. Ownership of property, certain responsibilities, the question of legitimacy, all of that is a part of family life. In the 1500s or so, that responsibility basically was taken over by civil government. So civil government said it is to our interest to direct and to record and to make sure that these relationships between individuals are legitimate and true, because the impact of their commitment to each other has civil effects. So the same thing is true with regard to the church. Marriage, from the Catholic perspective, is not a private event. It's a commitment that two people make to each other that affects not only them personally, but it also affects their life within the community, whether that community is civil or ecclesial. The two bodies, the civil society, the church as a society, will reflect its concern for the stability of marriage and a family because of the impact that it has on the on either civil society or the church society. Consequently, if a marriage breaks down, then the question becomes, in light of the church's belief on the permanence, the indissolubility of marriage, am I free as a practicing Catholic to enter into any subsequent union? And the way in which that should be addressed first and foremost is through the Church's a way of looking at those questions through a system that a judicial system that we call the Tribunal of the Church.
Now, this has led to some people leaving the church. It's a difficult situation.
Yes.
And we've heard it said, the largest Christian denomination is Catholics. The second largest is fallen away Catholics. Right. That the Pope has wanted to reach out to that group that has fallen away. Yeah. Do you see him doing that? Is this an attempt to reach out?
No, I think that's true. I think that's an understanding of the document. I think that certainly he and all of the bishops of the church are very much aware of the kind of disappointment and suffering, that takes place when a marriage fails and when the failure of the marriage takes an official end, if you will, termination, by some court decision. No, I think that we understand very clearly, because when a person enters into marriage, it is with the strong hope and desire to be able to go through life with the person that they have found that is the object of their love and affection. When that relationship breaks down, it brings incredible suffering in the life of people. And the church has a duty and a responsibility to find ways in which those individuals can come to the church for some sense of support, encouragement. The support and the encouragement, however, can't be in the form of denying what the church understands marriage to be. One point that I think most people understand, even if they are not able to articulate it with any precision, is this: deep within the human heart, there's the recognition that from the perspective of religion and faith, the human person is made for the relationship of loving someone. Obviously, for a believer, the object of a person's love first and foremost is God himself. The second object of a person's love, object of a person's love is that person that they have found desirable to be with, delightful to be with whom they find a sense of authenticity for themselves, a sense of happiness and fulfillment. So, deep within the human heart, there's a recognition of three qualities that historically have always been a part of Catholic thinking with regard to the nature of marriage. The three qualities were articulated back in the 300s by St. Augustine, and he said in marriage, the very nature of marriage is that by its nature, it's meant to be permanent, indissoluble. It's meant to be based upon a faithful commitment to each other, and it's meant to be open to the possibility of children. Children may come or may not, but it has to be open to children. In the past 50 years, the added benefit of marriage from the church's perspective is the sense of community or common life shared by the husband and wife.
Okay, we have to take a break.
Good.
I want to come back and delve further into this. Ask about something called the Inner Forum, and even what does this document say about gay marriage, if there is anything in there. All right, we'll take a break. Be back right after this.